Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Everybody have a good day today? Hi, Justin, Missy, Fluffies. Fluffies, I made sure to tell everyone that tonight's is all because of you, so they can all thank Fluffy's Paranormal for tonight's discussion. Hi, Robert. Hi, Mandy. So, yes, tonight's discussion is based on Fluffy's Paranormal's idea because, we do like talking about history, and this is pretty far back. And I could not have lived in these times back then. I would have probably committed suicide. But it's disgusting. Yes, it is the tree of life. And yes, there are tree roots coming down. And it's going to really stand out once I go back in a month for all the color and all that. So this is just the outline and shading. But I got this yesterday. Hey, Spirit Stalker. So tonight we are talking about, hello, Annie. Tonight we are talking about torture techniques. That's why I said, they did what? Because everything I tell you is true. And it's horrible. And it's horrible. I don't know what else to say about it. It's terrible. It's a shame that this is what they did to each other back in the day. I guess there's a few of these that they would do to people to prove a point. They would just leave them there for people to find and to prove a point. And I have to say, there's probably people out there today that would still do these things. And you've heard of, never mind. We're just going to start on it. How about that? Well, I didn't know what else to name it. I didn't want to call it torture. That's why I said they did what? Because they really did. They really did this stuff back then. And it's just fucked up. Okay. So I know you guys have heard of this first one, and it's called the crucifixion. And everybody knows this was introduced back in the 3rd century BC by the Persians, Alexander the Great, and the Phoenicians. Right? Okay. So they take the person, and they're tied and nailed to a wooden beam or a cross. So y'all know what the crucifixion is, though. You go to a church and you see the Jesus Christ up, and he's got the nails. Those usually show the nails in the hands. It is not in the hands. It's actually in the wrists and in the ankles. So the point of this, the nails are pierced through the bones below the wrist to hold the weight of the people, because the no major blood vessels are hit there. Only the median is called which causes your fingers to seize and your hands to flex down. The feet were then nailed to the cross through the ankles. And once the legs weaken, all the weight are on their arms and their shoulders, and it causes their shoulders to pull out of socket. Okay. And then the elbows and wrists soon follow that and pop out of socket, eventually causing respiratory problems, and they suffocate. Ouch. Yeah. So I didn't know all that. I've seen and heard of the crucifixion because of the Jesus Christ being nailed to the cross. We've all heard that story. We've all known that's okay. That's how they really did it. And that's why and how. And yeah, I didn't know that the weight of them, I guess gravity just takes effect, doesn't it? I didn't realize it was supposed to pull your shoulders out of socket, your elbows, your wrists out of socket. Wow. No, I didn't either. When I was doing this research for these things, I was very shocked to read a lot of this stuff. Because I mean, I've heard of some of this stuff, but I've never really looked at it like I did. And God, if people saw my search history, would they believe that it's from a podcast? You know? Anyway, okay. So that's the crucifixion. And now you know what really happened to Jesus Christ up there on the thing. And it's very sad. The next one, it's called rat torture. You have plates and screws on your 2 feet and plates and screws on your wrists. Oh. Oh, I could just imagine. Let me get my dog. I'm so sorry. I'm going to get my dog. I will be right. Just Annie, just keep people talking. Just 1 second. I am so sorry. This dog. I apologize. I am so sorry. That dog jumped up on the fucking dryer and got down the bag of pig treats and pulled them on the floor, and they went all over the fucking place. So I'm so sorry. Sorry. Yeah, that has to be painful, silly stalker. You wrote silly and I wrote red silly. Okay, spirit stalker. That's so when the weather changes and stuff, does that get painful? Like on a serious note, does it? I mean, because I've heard that. I know, right? Damn whiskey. Uh, I've heard people that have like the metal or there's a friend of mine who has a plate entered into the lower spine, and his back will start hurting or something like before it rains or during the rain, or I can't tell, but like he's told me that he has pain in his back because of storms and shit. So does that happen for you? Oh, golly. Shit. Okay. Damn. That shit sounds painful. I've never had a broken bone so far. Let's knock on wood there. I have not ever had a broken bone. Now my neck is fucked up. And I'm going to have neck surgery eventually, but I don't now. And I'm just out of curiosity, Spirit Stalker, did you fall and like land or something? Like I've seen that, like skating or something, and you fall and you lay, and and it's your instinct to put your hands up and you land on them. A lot of kids, that's when you're supposed to get your broken bones. And it's mostly boys, because they're out there being boys, usually breaking their arms or, something. Oh, you fell back and you put your, okay. Oh, golly. Were you really young when you did that? Wow. Okay. So we're going to move on. So we're moving on to the next one. It's called rat torture. And this was in Europe in the 17th century. The Dutch leader Diederik Sonnet used this on his prisoners. So, like I said, there's no way I could have been a police officer back then because I couldn't have done this to people. Like, I could see, I mean, I understand like a murderer or, they go to like Ted Bundy or Dahmer or, them. It was, I thought I could ice skate with snow boots on. Well, that's, there's some of us that have to learn the hard way about things. But thanks to you, Justin, we know now not to do that. Oh, God. Sorry. I'm sorry to laugh at you, honey. I'm sorry. Okay. So anyway, the prisoner is placed tied to a bed, and they have a small cage with like a rat or two placed on top of them, like sitting on top of them. And then they heat the cage with hot coals or candles to agitate the rats. And then the rats are going to try to escape. So they're going to eat or gnaw at the softest thing they can find to try to escape. So they start eating their way into your intestines and bowels, which causes excruciating agony. And it says that they would also use this to get information out of people. Which caused a psychological element. So it would fuck them up if it didn't kill them. Imagine that being done to just try to get information from people. And this is something, you know how some people say, oh, I was abducted by aliens and they stuck whatever up my butt. You've heard people talk about these stories, right? Oh, you fell from a 2-foot ledge. You were 4'8" at the time. Just looking off for the game of tag. Oh, geez. Hey, Armor. How did they get into the intestines? Okay, so they ate into them. They started biting and chewing at the person to try to escape out of this cage. This sounds like something that would come from like being abducted by aliens, like the rats did. The rats would eat into their skin. Are y'all not listening to me? The rats are going to try to escape the cage, and then they're going to eat the soft tissue to get out, and that's the soft tissue that it's on. So no. I was saying, you've heard the stories of how they say they've been abducted by aliens, and they put the rod up their booty for testing and stuff. I said this reminds me of something that if somebody had gotten abducted by aliens, that they said would happen, like the rats would eat them, and they were psychologically fucked up after that. No, they eat their way into the body. They don't get placed in the body. No. Yeah, Fluffies, quit it, because these were your idea tonight, mister. So okay. So it was the South American dictators used that method in Argentina, Brazil, Chile, and Uruguay from 1964 to 1990. That's what it said. Wow. That's it. I was born in 71. Like, this was still happening in the 80s. They were letting rat eat people's bowels. I didn't know any of these were a thing. I didn't know any of these were a thing. So that's why I'm so baffled by it, because I've heard of things, but I never really knew about it until I did the research on it. I'm so glad people don't ask to see my history on my search history, because, you know, the shit that I have to look up to talk to you guys about. Okay, the next one is called the rack. In 1447, the British constable John Exeter used this for prisoners in the Tower of London. Now, y'all know the Tower of London. That's where Jane Boleyn, whatever her fucking name was, she was beheaded there. Yeah, okay. This was also used in 356 BC by the Greeks to torture arsonists. Arsonist Herostratus, who burnt down the temple of Artemis at Ephesus. I don't know how to say that shit. Anne Boleyn. Oh, Anne Boleyn. Did I say Jane? I'm sorry. Anne Boleyn. That is where she was beheaded. was at the Tower of London. Okay, so the person is placed on a wooden table. The wooden table, they're tied down to all their wrists and their ankles. They bound their wrists and ankles by leather straps, and the levers were turned, and it gradually stretched their entire body apart from 4 different directions. It expanded the vertebrae. It pulled the joints, bones, muscles. The tendons would give way. The rib cage pressurized the lungs. The bones would shatter. The nerve endings became exposed. For the especially tough people, it says, they would add spikes for them to lay on. Instead of just laying on the table, they would lay on the table of spikes. And that would rip their flesh from their back as they're being. Artemis is the Greek god of wildlife. That's a bit ironic. No, he wasn't called a rat. It's saying that the rack is what. Oh, okay, hold on. Used in 356 BC by the Greeks to torture arsonist Herostratus. Herostratus. He's the one who burnt down the temple of Artemis at Ephesus. No, the rat was the last one. The rat was where they was eating into the bowels that y'all weren't paying attention. Not paying attention. There's going to be a test. Okay. So that's the rack. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it was the Herostratus burnt down the temple of Artemis. Yeah. So there's a lot of shit that happened there in the Tower of London. That's like a whole torture palace. You barely passed, but you passed. So yeah, just I can't imagine being tied and being pulled from top to bottom. Imagine how painful it is to have your joints, bones, muscles pulled out. Your tendons give way, your rib cage pressurize your lungs, your bones shatter, and the nerve endings become exposed. Imagine how that would feel. Could you do that to somebody? Fuck no, I couldn't. I couldn't even watch it. I wouldn't even be able to watch something like that because you'd have to sit there. And how long would all that take? Like, would you be able to stand there and listen to the screaming or the yelling or the crying or whatever it is the men did or women or I don't know. It didn't ever say men, women. I don't know what the fuck they do or who they do it to. I couldn't do it. There's no way I could be the one to slap your ass on a table of spikes and start ripping your skin from your. Ooh, I know. No. Could you? Oh, I don't know. I'm reading what it said. I have no idea. I have no idea. I ain't a doctor or a nurse or I don't know. I don't fucking know. But I can tell you that they were conscious for all of these. They didn't have, let's put them to sleep and do all of this. They were awake. Gagging them though. They're just wouldn't they choke on their own puke or spit or blood? If they're bad enough people to do this to people, then they're going to want to hear them scream, you would think, right? Anyway. Hey, Garza. Okay, so we're talking about some torture techniques from back in the day. Yes, today is 67 days smoke-free. Thank you. Thank you very much. It said this executioner would collect rodents and try many ways to kill them. This makes me think a lot of them are... Wait a minute. They would collect rodents to try to figure out how to kill the rodents? Well, you have a point there, Spirit Stalker. The thing is, if you guys haven't, I don't know how you guys feel about documentaries, but I love watching documentaries. And there is a new documentary out about Anne Boleyn. And it told the whole life and her growing up and how she grew up and her sister and her brother and how she met whatever her first husband, Caesar. And oh yeah, Garza, come on in. Yeah, it's in the links in the bio. Anyway, watch this Anne Boleyn, and I don't feel that they beheaded her. Okay, so with the second husband there, he was completely infatuated with her and did everything he could to get her to fall in love with him. But she made a promise that she would give him a son, as an heir. And she popped out a daughter, and then she was pregnant again and had a miscarriage. I think it was 2 miscarriages. I think she said, God, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong. Anyway, she made a promise, I'll give you a son, but how do you promise that? You cannot tell your body, all right, you're going to be a boy this time. You have to be a boy. And out pops the little weenie. You can't do that. You can't. It's a guessing game. There's people with all fucking girls and they can't have a boy. It's crazy. Yes. How do you make so he lost interest in her and was cheating on her with one of the other girlies in there, or her friend. And he ended up getting rid of Anne and made up some sort of treason. And I guess because you made a promise to me that you would give me a son and you didn't. So you lied to me. It's fucking crazy. So he had her beheaded just to get rid of her. Y'all need to watch that documentary about Anne Boleyn. It was fantastic. A fantastic documentary. I don't even think a man's sperm, how do you determine what it's going to be? It's whatever decides to grow there or not grow there. I don't understand how people think that you can promise to have a boy when you can't. You can't. That's a promise you can't make, is whether you're going to have a girl or boy. You just don't fucking know until it comes out. Or, I mean, you can find out while you're pregnant, but back then they couldn't do that. So they just kind of had to wait. And then he ended up treating the daughter like shit. But she ended up reigning after him and was a big, huge, she did quite well from what I understand. Yeah, no, they do that today. They do that today. But that was the whole reason Anne Boleyn was beheaded. I agree with that. I mean, you can't just blame her. Yeah, so it was a horrible thing what they did to her. But I recommend the documentary. Watch it. Let me know what you think. I enjoyed it. Hi, Margarita. Queen Mary or Queen Elizabeth? I don't know. What? Anne Boleyn was with Mark Antony, right? Was it Mark Antony? No, I'm thinking of fucking Cleopatra. Queen, I don't know. I have no idea. Anne Boleyn, whenever she was, wait a minute. Wasn't that a daughter of one of them? No. Come on. There we go. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Margarita. Yeah. Henry VIII. That was her dad, right? Because one of the torture things in here, I think, has to do with Henry VIII as well. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, I'll be 52 in about a week. Okay, both of them are daughters of King Henry VIII, the husband that killed Anne. Okay, so Anne Boleyn was the daughter of King Henry VIII. I can't fucking remember all this. I can't. Oh. Ooh. How do you specialize in torture? Oh, dear. Garza. He specialized in like, why would you want to get into that? Why would you want to specialize in that? I couldn't do that to anyone. Wrote a book, Wolfman Dave. And you worked with this fella? I'm going to write this down. Wolfman Dave. That's crazy. There's some sick. No. Prove it. Okay. Anyway, we're going to move on to the next one. I don't think I would want to meet that guy. Was he a little 20? Because I don't think I would want to meet someone who specializes in torture. I damn sure wouldn't be his fucking girlfriend. I damn sure wouldn't be his wife. Could you imagine? He specializes in torture. Good God Almighty, what are you coming home from work to? Not right at the moment. I'm not. I'm not at the moment. Where tonight's title is the torture techniques from back in the day. We every once in a while we throw a history lesson in here. But I can be. And you know what I was thinking of one night is getting out my SB7 voice box, maybe live on TikTok, and just doing some I'm thinking maybe I can do some EVPs one night and see how that turns out. Okay, so we're gonna, hey Sandy, so we're gonna move on to the next one, and it's called keel hauling. So this was between 1560 and 1853 that this was used. The Dutch used this as punishment. The England's Royal Navy used this technique in the 11th century. And the Greek used this in 700 BC for piracy. So, okay. This is also, it's basically what this is to drag along the keel of a ship. So the people were stripped, tied, and suspended by a rope from the ship's mast, okay, with weights and chains on their legs. The rope was looped beneath the ship that would release and drag them under the keel. If they didn't drown, they would have brain damage from hitting their head on the boat or ship, whatever you call it, and they'd be brought back on board until they died. And it is known as 100% fatality rate for this one. So they didn't do this just for punishment or to try to get things out of people. They did this as a death penalty type thing. I don't want to see in the heads of these MFers that come up with this shit. Oh, let's tie them to the front of the fucking boat. And, you know, the waves will bang their head into the freaking boat and cause brain damage and kill them. Let's do that. I mean, if that's a way that you come up with to be ahead of the people of the ship, what they call that, a captain or whatever. I mean, there's some sick people. So, and Garza, where's the guy now? Like, you still keep in touch with this fella? Like, I don't know. I'm thinking this fella's going to have something wrong with him, Garza. How do you... I've seen this, Justin. That's what I'm saying. And when I said it in the beginning, there are some people that even today, they want to torture people. What was that BTK killer? Remember? Was that the clown fella? The guy that dressed up as a clown? What was his fucking name? John Wayne Gacy? Is that the BTK? No, I think the BTK guy was a different. I understand Garza. Is he really, like, he doesn't think about that shit now, does he? Was it Gacy? Is Gacy the BTK killer? Because what was it called? Something torture kill. BTK was further west. Okay. There is, I can't remember who was John. Okay. Why am I thinking John Wayne Gacy? He's the clown guy though. Oh, bind, torture. That's right. Bind. Okay. I couldn't think of the other word. So it's the bind, torture. Yeah. I'm trying not to get bananaed on TikTok here, but so that's the BTK. And there's people today that still want to do this kind of shit to people, and they get sexually aroused. Like, y'all are sick fucking people. If y'all see this, you're sick fucking people. If you come after me, I'm gonna shoot you. Fucked off jobs seem to be the best people to be friends with. You're a mortician, attorney, judge, and an EMS. Jesus. The BTK killer was the guy that had a kid. Right. The BTK, didn't he have, it was his son or his nephew, and was he autistic or something? Right. If he had to. No, I don't think I'd want to meet your friend, Garza. I think he would scare the shit out of me. I don't mean that to sound rude at all, Garza, at all. You know me, but he would make me nervous. You specialize in torture. That means if you specialize in that, you actually enjoy that to want to go learn more about it. I love forensic work. I love that shit. I just didn't have, look, I'm too old to go to 8 years of college. It's to become a forensic scientist, just 8 years of college. But I do, and I love watching forensic shit. So anyway, it's just crazy how people come up with this shit. That there's, yes, there is a documentary about BTK. Hi, Deb. There is about BTK. We were talking about Anne Boleyn because, the Tower of London, there was tons of torture that went on there. And that's where she was beheaded. Hi, Chris. Well, you got to do what makes you happy. Anyway, so we're going to move on to the next one. The keel hauling is pretty fucked up to do to somebody and tie them to the front of a boat. So the next one is from a man called Bona, was tortured for 4 straight days and nights in 1348. It's the longest known survival to date using this technique, was 4 days and 4 nights. It was used in Austria, Britain, France, Germany, Rome, India, Russia, Scotland, and Sweden. It's called the wheel or the execution wheel, whichever you want to call it. It goes by both. So they take a person and they tie them to a large wooden spoked wheel. The goal was not to kill them, but to severely mutilate them from their legs up. They would break their bones with iron bars, one by one, till every bone in the body was mutilated. Once the bones are all broken, their heels were placed behind their necks, and they were left there to bleed out. So they called this the wheel because people was down standing with the metal or iron posts, and as they spun, each person would hit them. Who comes up with this shit? You're still alive. Every bone in your body has been shattered. And then they're putting your legs behind your head so you can bleed out. I just wonder how interrogators feel when they mentally torture the criminals during questioning, at least innocent ones. That's what I'm saying. If they're innocent, it's fucking horrible. Like, honestly, I've been law enforcement for 23 fucking years. There's a way to question people. There's a way to interrogate people. There's a way to do it. You don't sit there and mentally torture someone. That is wrong. I'll tell them that it's wrong. And you just, there's just ways to go about things. You just don't fucking do that to people. Because even if they're innocent, they're going to be fucked up in the head just from that interrogation. I'm sorry, you get further with people. I don't know what that saying is. You get further with, I don't fucking know what it is. Anyway, y'all know what I'm saying, right? Like, yeah. But somebody had to think this up. Let's put them on a wheel. Let's hang them from a wheel. And as they spin around, we'll start at their feet and break every bone in their body. The people that come up with it are just as fucked up as, I mean, you know. Like I said before, I understand if Ted Bundy or the BTK or John Wayne Gacy and Dahmer and all that, and I could understand because they tortured and ate them and all of that. Like they did all of that to these people, especially the BTK fella. Some of these things I could see them doing to do it to someone else what he's been doing to people. Right? Because I've always said that, good night, Terry. I've always said that they should die how they killed the people. Does that make sense? That's just, I don't know. If they torture someone, they should be tortured. They should just be shown a taste of their own fucking medicine to me. It's just, I don't know. Y'all might not. Y'all can tell me to jump in the fucking lake if y'all don't believe or agree. You know, everybody's entitled to their own, but that's just the way I've thought for the longest time. So moving on to the next one, we have impalement. Now, I'm sure everyone's heard of this one. Now, this is one of them that I've actually heard of in the past, but I never knew all of the details about it. I can't find what year or anything this was done, but it was used by Persia and Egypt. This can be done 2 different ways. Okay. It's fucking horrible. Longitudinal. I didn't know that was a word, but longitudinal. The person is placed above a long, sharp, greased spike by being hung with ropes. They're hung up with ropes. They're placed above this long, sharp, greased spike, which is then inserted partway into their rectum. Then they let the ropes go and let gravity take effect. Mm-hmm. Hi, Topher. So the spike would run through them, avoiding the major organs and exiting through the skin in the neck or in the shoulder. A person could survive this for several days. The other way is transversal, and it's a large stake is inserted through your torso, either through the front or the back, and just slowly push through. The Impaler made this very popular since this was the main way he dealer with people who were not in his castle. Huh. There was a guy called Vlad the Impaler. I think if I had to choose between the two, I would go with the transversal one. I think I would die quicker and it would be less, it would take longer to go up and down than it would in, you know. A person could also just be taken and thrown down on a bunch of metal spikes and left there to die. Yes, a king in Romania. He's the guy that inspires Dracula. Oh! All right. Okay, so you guys have heard me talk about the show Vikings. I hope to God you guys are watching it. I love this show. I love it. I love it. Okay, so this next one is from Vikings time. And in the Vikings series, the one I've watched twice and that you guys really should watch, I'm telling you, this was done in the series. There has only been one reliable source of this being done. It was in 867 AD when Ivar the Boneless and Ragnar's children, Ragnar Lothbrok's children, did this to King Aella for killing Ragnar. Now, I'm not going to go in detail and tell you how Ragnar was killed because that's going to give it away when you watch the series. So King Aella was the king of Northumbria. He's a real prick, by the way, in the series. But anyway, y'all really need to watch it. I love this fucking show, but this was a crazy part of the series. And this is what they did to the king for killing Ragnar. It is called the Blood Eagle. Okay? The person is laid on their stomach on the prone position or knelt and bent forward. Okay, knelt on their knees and bent forward, and their arms were tied out. The person is kept alive and conscious for the entire thing. Their back is sliced open and their ribs are detached from the spine. And their lungs are pulled from the opening to form a pair of wings. This was the craziest shit you've ever seen. But I saw it in Vikings, and when I read this, I was like, oh. I remember that. It was horrible. I've got my Viking notes, though. Anyway, that's the Blood Eagle. It's only been one known case to actually be done, and it's by Ragnar Lothbrok's children that was getting revenge on him killing their father, which was so badass because I was very upset when Ragnar was killed. Right? I don't know who thought of this, but that's how they got him. And I was cheering when it was happening. So anyway, moving on. Y'all need to watch the Vikings. This next one is called Molten Gold. Okay. This was done in 1599 by the Jivaro or Jivaro Indians, used on a Spanish governor. Also, it was used by the Romans, used on the Roman general and a politician, Marcus Licinius. The person is restrained, of course, and molten gold or silver that's piping hot is forced down their throats. It caused severe damage to the distal organs and it blistered the inside of the lungs, which led to instant death. This is one of the mild ones from some shit that we've been hearing tonight. But that's still fucking horrible. That's just, could you imagine? Oh, yes. I've got that one. That's in here. Yes. That's called the brazen bull. Yes, sir. The brazen bull. It was used in Greece in ancient times. I could not find a date that it was used. The bull statue, and it's basically a bull statue in bronze, but the belly opens up. The person is placed inside and locked in. And they heated the statue and they cook the person to death like they're in a grill, basically. That is the brazen bull. Yes, Garza, I did have that one. Right, spirit stalker. There's so many other ways to torture people than to pour that down their throats. Right. Okay. So the next one is called flaying. There's only one alleged case known that this was done. It was a female philosopher named Hypatia of Alexandria. It was done by a Christian mob. Okay? This is called flaying. The person is stripped. The hands and feet were bound to stop movement. The people would start peeling away their skin with sharp blades, often starting with their head. Remaining conscious through entire process, person could also die from shock, infection, blood loss, or hypothermia. If their skin was tough in a certain area, they would put it in boiling water to make it soft. No, it's not me. It's Fluffy's. You thank Fluffy's for tonight's conversation. Spirit Stalker. It was Fluffy's idea. Okay. Yes, so they put that spot in the boiling water to make it easier to remove. And it could take hours or days before they die. I wouldn't want to be flayed. That's, to me, that's fillet, like fillet fish. You take the skin. That's filleting. This is F-L-A-Y, flaying. The next one is called the Roman candle. The Roman ruler Nero was known to use this method. People were tied and nailed to stakes, then covered with flammable liquid. This is usually done at parties, and they usually have a group of people that they're doing this to instead of just one at a time. I don't know what that noise is. They lit them on fire at their feet to prolong the suffering. Nero would often burn several at a time and would let them burn at his parties like candles or torches. It's not that I'm not interested in this. I find it interesting learning about what used to take place back then. So, I mean, yeah, it's a little gross, but it's sad. It's very sad that people could do this to someone else. And like to this day, people still want to. Yeah. Yeah. Just okay. So the next one is called lynching. This was done in 10th century in China. It was used for the crimes of treason or murder. The person will be tied to a stake, and it includes methodically slicing away at their body until they die. They remain conscious for the entire process. They start with small cuts, and over time, they increase larger cuts all the way to limb amputation. That would just to be horrible. Here's another one. Okay, elephant trampling. People train these fucking elephants to do this. This dating back to ancient times in Southeast Asia. The person is crushed by elephants that are trained for that purpose. Some are just punished with minor injuries, while others endure the brutal torture till the elephant deals the final blow to the head and squishes it like a fucking watermelon. You know what, Garza? I don't, and I really don't want to know. In 23 years in law enforcement, I don't need to know. I don't want to know. God dang it. Okay. This one's terrible. It's called scaphism. It was used in ancient Persia. Oh, I heard that. Yes, I did hear that. And I did hear that way back too. If a woman would lie, she'd have her tongue chopped off. Thieves would have their hands cut off, or the finger, whatever it was, stuff like that. Criminal Minds is way crazier than you think, Missy. Yeah. Anyway, scampism. The person is placed in a hollow tree trunk and force-fed a mixture of milk and honey until they develop diarrhea. After that, they're stripped and covered with more milk and honey. They were then left there to sit in their own waste, and insects came to feast on them. Death usually came from dehydration, septic shock, or gangrene. It's fucking terrible. Y'all making jokes, and I'm Oh, okay. Remember I said, okay, this one is centuries ago used by Henry VIII. This is the one I was telling you, that Henry VIII, and this was used in Asia and England. The person is stripped and placed into a vat of boiling water, oil, or tar. The more gruesome way is to put them in the cool liquid and then heat to boiling. It prolongs the pain. The longest on record was 2 hours being boiled. But yeah, apparently all the skin comes off of the bones. They would just boil them like an egg. That's the one by the Henry VIII, by the way. He used to boil people. God, that would hurt. I've just burnt my fucking finger. Good Lord. Could you imagine? Couldn't imagine that. The last one I have is called quartering. This was in England in the 13th century. Right? No, he would boil people. It doesn't say what he would boil them for, but Henry VIII would boil people. Oh. In Mexico, the drug cartels would use acid to do the soup. Oh, come on. You've heard of the quartering. Okay. Oh, I'm sure. I just came up with 16 of the weirdest. Now, I know that people are getting burned alive and buried alive, and I know all that. I know that. I just came up with 16 of the most fucked up ones I could find back in the day. But I didn't realize that Anne Boleyn's daddy would boil people. The last one is called quartering. It's in England from the 13th century. The person is tied to a horse, then dragged through the forest of the gallows. They are then hanged upside down, and then by tying each limb to a different horse, that all 4 horses would go off in 4 different directions. And I'm sure y'all can understand that that's your each body part's going in a different direction. Did it okay, it says this was used for the crime of treason and was abolished in 1867. It just says in England, so I don't it could be have happened in the USA as well, I'm sure. Well, the thing is, Robert, people today still do dismemberment. Most of the murderers do that. Or they would just do the horse part and bypass all the rest. Yeah, I know. The horse, it probably didn't hurt the horse because the horses would just sit there and pull and pull and pull and pull until it lets go. And, you know. That's the 16 that I have. I don't have any more. I've covered all of my research. So that's the grossest ones that I have found. But yeah, there's some really fucked up things that they would do back then. Fluffies. You're silly. Come on. Come on. This is freaking lagging on me. There it is. Okay. Shout out to all the toys that have stretchy limbs. People are dirty, rotten scoundrels when they're willing. Yes, you're absolutely right. Damn, that hurt. Oof. I just rubbed my tattoo, not thinking about it. Dang it. Okay. Yes. No, Spirit Stalker. I know. I've heard of all of that. Yes, scalped by the Indians and skinned alive. We did go over skinned alive, but it was called a couple different things. But yeah, I don't, I tell you, I couldn't have lived back with the Anne Boleyn days or whatever days that is. I couldn't have lived back then. I would have committed suicide probably, because this is ridiculous that the shit that they go through back then. And then you get accused of something you never did and then get beheaded because you promised to have a boy and had a girl. Come on. Come on. That's disgusting. People are disgusting. And it's very sad to think that there are people today out there that they murder and dismember and eat them and boil them or whatever it is that they do. Like there's the one people that they advertise that they want to eat somebody, and somebody comes up and says, "Oh, I want to be eaten." Like, what? 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 What are you thinking? You're going to tell this guy, "Oh, let's go out on a date and we can go back to your place so you can eat me." What the fuck is wrong with these people? They're fucked up. Like, I don't know if they're on medication or maybe they're not on medication is the problem. Like, I just don't know what the fuck's wrong with people. And people wonder why I stay home and don't talk to nobody. And I don't go out. And Native Americans used to cut themselves as a sign of bravery. There's people that cut themselves today, but it ain't because of no fucking bravery. It's just because they're stupid. I mean, it gets you attention. Like, I just don't understand. I just, when I was growing up, you didn't hear about bipolar and you didn't hear about, their mental, there was autism. Yeah, there was autism, but it's a thing. But you didn't hear about they're cutting themselves or having the mental issues. They got to go be on medication. I mean, we dealt with it. We fought each other. We got our ass kicked or we did the ass kicking. Like people are pussies these days. I'm telling you. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. But I don't want to know about all the other shit happening. I know there's people out there doing fucked up shit. I will be happy to arrest their asses all day long. That's true, Sue. People do put chemicals in our food that can cause some shit. I don't know. Spirit stalker. Oh gosh. I'm just talking about like kids these days. Like the parents are scared to be parents. The kids walk all over the parents. And it's, let me tell you something. If I had a kid today, he would have no fucking teeth because nobody's going to talk to me like that, my kid or anybody else's kid. And then if I found out my kid disrespected somebody like some of these did today, I'd knock more teeth down their throat. They would have so many dental appointments because I ain't going to tolerate my kid acting like that. Japanese warriors would slice their stomachs when they were going to be prisoners at war. Is that like, so they would always, if people see the slice on their stomach, they know they were a prisoner? Is that what the purpose of that was? Because I know in Vikings, they would do like a cross on their head or something on their head. So they would automatically see the thing on their head and go, oh, they were banished. I don't talk about my worst cases that I've seen because it's just respect out of the families. And it's something that I don't want to remember. I don't talk about my bad stuff because if it's bad enough to fuck me up, I don't want to rethink it. I don't want to get fucked up again because I've seen some shit. I've responded to some shit. I don't want to talk about the bad stuff. I just know the majority of the cops I know will always say, don't ask us about our worst or anything like that, because that fucks us up. People just don't realize we're people too. I've had calls that I would go to that I come home and I couldn't sleep for 3 days or eat. Like I've tether their nips and lean to I've seen that. What movie was that? I saw that and they would do the nips and they would make them hold back. They would like make them lean back until the nips would rip off. Oh, I've seen that, Garza, in a movie. I've seen something like that. Oh God, that looks terrible. They would commit Harry Carey. Who? Who's Harry Carey? I don't know. I'll tell you right now, I am not going to prove my bravery by damaging myself or ripping my nips off. I no, it's not going to happen. I will go into a gunfight all day long with my peeps. I'm going to protect my peeps. I'll take a bullet for my peeps. But I'm not going to go out and injure myself on purpose to try to prove to people that I'm brave. No. Being captured by the enemies was worth the death for us. See, that's what I'm saying. I couldn't have lived back in the day because I would have just committed suicide, because no, I'm not gonna. I don't want. I'm not the one to live back then. This being okay, this tattoo is not nearly like getting your skin ripped off and boiled in hot tar. It was 5.5 hours of a little bit of burning. That's totally different though. I guess this kind of torture I don't mind a little bit. Now, maybe, okay, so Garza, your friend that you say specializes in torture. So maybe he just studied it so he would understand other cultures for doing it. He didn't do it himself, correct? Garza does what I do. He is one of me. He is the same thing as I am. Yes, Garza is a fellow fuzz. Okay, am I right, Garza? Maybe he just studied it to understand what he would come into. But he didn't do it himself, is what I'm saying, right, Garza? He didn't actually torture people. He just studied it to find out why or who or what. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to read the book. But I can only hope that he didn't do it himself. You have your hubby's name on your butt cheek? Well, Michael's a popular name, so you could just make sure you find another Michael. The only name I have on my body is Lollipop, my piggy. And I am going to have Cash's name put at the top of my heart here, that I meant to do a long time ago, but he's going to touch my Lollipop heart up a little bit, and I'm going to have Cash's name put in the top of the heart. But that's the only names I'll put on my body is my children, like my piggies. Never a man. Never. Nope. I am going to have a little piggy snoot put right here on my finger as well. I'm having a little purple flower put behind my ear. You can put Jackson underneath it. Oh, that's right. Just put Michael Jackson and say he was your idol. Like he was your, say he was your favorite singer. That's a good one. That's a good one. He was special forces. But what I'm saying, Garza, is he didn't practice the torture. He just studied it maybe to understand other cultures. I want a red tattoo. Of what? There's lots of red things. Get like see, here's my thing. I saw somebody with a little red flower behind their ear. I literally thought they were bleeding. So I didn't think red or pink would be very good as like a little flower because it looks like you're bleeding or you might have cut yourself. So that's why I'm just, well, purple's my favorite color anyway. So I'm just going to go with like a purple, what's it called? The blossom. Apple blossoms. Is that what they're called? Anyway, I'm going to get in a little purple one behind my ear. It's really cute. That's you. There you go. See, now here's the thing. I had this on my forearm and it's the stars and the butterflies and it has the letter C. And if y'all remember, my daughter, Christina, passed away. And that is the C that represents my daughter. So yesterday, when he was doing my tree roots, he actually made that go all around and he made that into the tattoo. And he made it a part of it. So I was very happy because I told him, I said, I don't want that letter C covered. So he made it go into the tattoo and I absolutely loved it. It's so badass. I wish I could just, it looks totally different in person. I even look at it here and I'm like, it looks totally different in person. Like to look at it and see the shading and how much detail he put in this fucking tree. It's amazing. It's amazing. And then the red is going to radiate down into the tree roots. It's all the red, that deep red color is going to radiate down into the roots of the tree. And then he's going to have these eyeballs looking up. And then all the chakras, you can look up the chakras, but there's 7 different colors. And then all of the colors are going to radiate up into the tree, all over the arm. And all of the colors are going to go through the tree into the branches and up into the leaves. So it's going to be super colorful when it's done. It just looks kind of funny because that's like totally empty right now. But yeah. Right. So yeah, I think your daughter's name would be wonderful. That's why I did her initial here so I could see it every day. And I'm reminded of her every single day. So that's what I think. I think tattoos should have meaning to people. And that's, I wonder if read Morse code on some. Okay, I thought Morse code though was beeps, like to hear. Is Morse code something you read as well? What if you did something like I love you in Braille with red dots? Like whatever, have a saying or whatever. Why don't you have it done in Braille? I just think that's a freaking cool idea. Another idea I love for a tattoo is like when you were born, you can go back and look what the moon was when you were born and get that moon of when you were born with your zodiac in there. I think that's cool too. I love the moons and the stars and all that stuff. And that's Annie's thing too. I'm going to have to get off of here though. Thank you guys so much for joining in this crazy shit we were talking about tonight. What is today? I will not be on here Monday. I will be on here Tuesday because I go back tomorrow to work for 4 days in a row. Hey, Gremlin. Todd sent you. Okay. Well, welcome. I've been on an hour and a half though, and that's almost an hour and a half. And that's usually long for my podcast. I will be live on TikTok for a little bit longer. Yeah, so I will, we have some other stuff coming up soon and it won't be as gross, I don't think, but I do like talking about the old history. So if you guys do have any ideas about the old history or the dates or people, please message it to me and we will get it done. So thank you for joining me. I love all of you. See you next time.